So, hello everybody. Welcome to today's Tavola Aperta. The Tavola Aperta is a special project that Christine Massel wanted for this year's 57th International Art Exhibition, together with two other projects, which are the Artist Practice Video and the Unpacking My Library. So welcome everybody. Our guest today is Jelili Atiku from Lagos in Nigeria, and I hope we will have a compelling conversation. This is a lunch, but it's also a talk, and it is an open table, so please, I would invite everybody to participate actively and not to feel shy, because we do have microphones, but it's just for audio reasons for the recording. Jelili is a multimedia artist who is based in Ejigbo in Lagos, Nigeria. And he's exhibiting in the pavilion, the Dionysian pavilion in the Corderia at the Arsenale. The work exhibited there is part of the performance that took place on the 12th of May during the opening of the Biennale. So I would like to start by asking him, how did he decide to bring this work to the Biennale? How did you get the idea? How did you choose this performance?
Well, yeah, it's a long story actually. When I got the invitation from Christine, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, because to me, I feel like there's a kind of a big project coming to Phoenix Biennale. Like, oh my God, I'm going to do it. So my mind got blank. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything. So, and again, she said I should come for a site visit to see the venue and to know Phoenix because I've not been here. And so well, I said, okay, that is good. Let me try to know the city and trying to know the people and see, because something I hate in my life is trying to be a colonial master where you export or import an idea into space. I really don't like it. So when I got here, the first thing that I saw was the huge water, the pond.
Basin at
Yeah,
the
it
Arsenal.
consumed me because from the airport into the boats, I was inside the water. And
Okay.
when I got finally to the hotel, I discovered that the city is sitting on the water. So that to me was majestic, and that is the point that really introduced me to the idea that I brought here. And because to my culture, water is like a feminine energy is
Okay.
compared to the woman, because you cannot, everybody all over the world, you can't do without water. So that set it in. Then I started thinking. And again, at that time, what was actually prevailing was the political discussion of the campaign, the American campaign, the Hillary Clinton and Trump. And, you know, at that time, it became like a symbolical discussion of the masculine and feminine. The Trump represent the masculine and Hillary the feminine. And so I can now saw the kind of a ridicule, how the masculine ridiculed the feminine. And to me, I felt we've lost it. The humanity have lost it. Because like when Trump said, I grabbed this pussy. So it's like an embarrassment to humanity. So, and that time, that was the prevailing discussion. And so that now linking it up together into like, I want to narrow down my discussion in this, my presentation in this Biennale into the essence of feminine energy. That I want the whole world to discuss it. I want the whole world to look at it and let us open up discussion on that. So that's how I come about. And you know, like in the process that I am in right now is called self-decolonization, where, because I was born, I grew up in Lagos, and I went to the university, I was trained in the Western education system,
Okay.
and I also went to the Quranic school, which is the Arab culture. And also most of the time when I watch the TV, you know, you're bombarded with a lot of culture coming together. So these has colonized me, you know, I couldn't have the opportunity to really live as a Yoruba person. So now in this process, I try go back into that culture. And so while I chose the feminine energy, I went into the Yoruba and I tried to see what is that idea? What is the real discussion about the feminine energy? And so that brought me into come in contact with a lot of all elements, you know. And so I brought all these elements together, and my experience moving around the world now, I bring everything together, and that's coming to the performance which I presented.
Okay, so tell us, because I don't know how many people have already been to the Arsenale and how many of you have seen the video of the performance. So tell us something about the performance.
I know I'm so happy today. One of the artists who participated in the performance, the volunteer, someone is there, so
Hi,
she can
welcome.
also she can also contribute to that. It actually, when I designed the performance itself, just like I said, I just want to open up discussion, open up discussion about the feminine energy. With, if you look at it, the world cannot exist without the feminine energy. Everybody, everybody, including me and everyone, we came through the womb, the woman. And so that means the women, the feminine energy is the source of life. And a being source of life will most of the time don't grab the essence of it. And I look at what is happening now, and I said, it is only women who could come with their love, with their sympathy that they pour onto their own children and like pour it back into the world and make the world heal the body, heal the psychic of the world. And so the object which I chose were divine, were sacred objects from the Yoruba. And of course, it was created by myself and my technical assistants, but it went through the processes where I made them sacred through the Yoruba process of, sanctify them. So I called about 6 women and who are priestess and also priests to come together to do special, in quotes, baptism for those objects. And invited the whole world, those who can volunteer, women all over the world. And so a lot of them,
There were 72 women,
72
right?
women, yeah, volunteered. But I also got more than 72, about 150 people volunteered. But we chose 72 among them, and they came all over the world. And I decided to have a special headgear, which was created using the mask from the Guinea. And I also had small figures, 72, attached to this. And each represents one of the performer of the lady. Then I also have a pendant that was also created to also represent them. Then I created a special costume, which was influenced by Palestinian and the Israelite costumes.
Jewish costumes.
Yeah, yeah. So, and also our own energy, the performer. So we brought all this together, and the women actually did the performance. I was just there as a lead, but they did, because the objects were compiled together, and they were supposed to transfer their energy into those objects, which they did. The pendants which were given to them, I asked them to breathe in onto it. Just like the story in the Bible of the creation of man, that God breathed onto the clay,
Yes.
and it became. So they breathe. Their breathing is transferring their energy onto that object, and which they did. And so I'm taking the Okmaifa and Irokaifa, which are the object and the water and the earth. They put it on their very close to their womb.
Yeah.
So it's and to me and to my culture, the womb is the manifestation source of life, because it's like a laboratory where the women were either created or were manifested, whichever way. And so they put the object into there, so they transfer the energy from the womb into there, and they carry it onto the water, scooped the water in the small calabash, and put it back into the object, and they all go.
It was a procession.
In the procession, and the procession itself is an important part of it, like working together. We walk together. They all walk together into the space. Then we assembled the object there.
Okay, and there was also, is there a meaning, because the procession was led by you on a horse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there a special meaning for that?
Yeah, of course. You know, every culture has a symbolism to the meaning of horse.
Yeah.
And it's she. The horse is she itself. And the strength, it's like comparing the strength of the horse and the energy of the horse to the energy of the female body, you know.
Yeah.
And to me, it's for you to just have that the passion point. The audience will have the pattern point. What does the horse mean to me as a person? You know, we use it everywhere, all over the culture. It's the movements. It's very strong in moving into the future.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm just trying to say, let's move with a strong energy into the future. Because the future is blinking, we don't understand it. You know, we have lost, we are losing a lot of things. At the time of the performance, that issue of migration, we're missing up a lot of things. And so I was trying to say, let's symbolically have the energy of the horse and move there, you know.
Okay. And how did the public really react?
Well,
how was the relation with the audience?
Yeah, I actually it was so to me, it was so overwhelming. A lot of people actually wanted to come into the performance, but you could see the coming, closing, and also moving back. So you could see the face, you could read a lot, and which to me was talking telepathy. Just like also when I met the horse, the dialogue between me and the horse was so super. I designed, you know, initially I was supposed to come here earlier to go to where the horse is and have a dialogue, interact with the horse, but that couldn't happen. So it was 15 minutes to the performance. That was when I met the horse. I got to her and I stood by her and I said, well, I'm meeting you for the first time. I was looking at her face. Hi, that I'm meeting you for the first time. You don't know me. I want us to work together in this performance. And she nodded. And I felt the agreement with her being part of it. But suddenly when I disconstruct my body, she couldn't recognize me. You know, so when I wanted to climb, it was like the kind of a protest. So the same thing was to me. The dialogue within the audience was like confusion. What is this? What is this? What is this person doing on the horse? But gradually, I could feel that the tension was there initially, but the tension was going down as each person was, to me, dialoguing within themselves, and they find way to feel comfortable with it. But of course, a lot of people wouldn't understand, except they ask questions, which is, of course, is the natural feeling you get when you are confronting with objects you don't know before, you know, object that is foreign to you, an idea that is foreign to you. So you take your time as a human to digest it. And that is the point of my discussion. A lot of things, a lot of ideas come that foreign, but which ordinarily you want to put aside that you don't want to have a contact with. But if you relax your body and you relax yourself, you will have, you know, a moment where you want to welcome it and trying to dialogue with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. You do mainly live art performances, and so the relation with the public is very important, I think. Is there a difference in the way people relate themselves to your performances in the Western world and in Africa?
Yeah. You know, in Africa, most of the communities there are like kind of communal, where we trying to know ourselves, we move very close, and that dictates their reaction when I do performance in the public space. They come into it. They don't see it as an artwork. They don't see it as an object that is you live somewhere. They see it as really part of them. They want to feel it. They want to be very close to that. But in the West, there is always this distance that they know that it's an artwork. You create an artwork, so they give you distance. They want to appreciate it from afar, but and that is the difference. But of course, something I actually appreciate, that each energy, each place, each space has its own different energy, which make it distinct. You know, make it distinct in a way that in Africa, the way of perception is also different from here.
Of course.
So which give me a lot of challenges when I'm designing or creating my work, because I put it in my consciousness that the object you use, because I work with a lot of object ontology, the object itself has an important part to play in the performance. So if I'm creating it, I put it into like, will the person understand? Will this lead to a discussion? Will this, you know, give an idea of what I'm trying to say? And don't forget that I say that I don't try to colonize my idea. I make it free. That audience coming to it in their own different way, in their own distinct way, that I really don't want to control. But of course, that is a different reaction that is distinct from every space that I go, and that make me happy, and that make me understand the essence of the world, the variety of idea of views that we all have to accommodate.
Yes, of course. I know you studied sculpture, I think, at university. How did you decide to move to art performances?
Yeah, performance is a living.
It's quite a particular choice. I mean,
it's a particular choice. But performance is a living sculpture. Don't let us forget about it. All of us, we are living sculpture. And so, but when you now introduce an organic, you make it an organic feelings to make it ephemeral, that work with the memory of the people, then that. But I come about that, like I said, I was trained in a Western education system, and that removed me completely, and also make me having the feelings of inferiority, that I wasn't really sure that my culture is important. So at a point, like for example, I went to Quranic school. I was a Muslim. The Islam, the Arab people believe that when you want to talk to God, you have to use the Arab language. So that become a rebellion point in my mind that, no, it's going to be, if God is like that, then that God is biased. Because to me, my own identity is as important as every other thing. So that become a rebellion thing in my mind, and I was wrestling it. And that make me to question that, no, I am a Yoruba person, my language is Yoruba, and if I cannot speak to God in this language, then I'm not going to talk to God in that language. So the same thing happened in my Western, the Western education of arts that wants me to do things in a certain way. Then I was like, how does the indigenous people of the Yoruba do art? I want to know. So I make a lot of research into that. I went deep down. Then I discovered that the performance is actually the main practice of art in the Yoruba. So I take references from the Egungun, where the Western call masquerade, but it goes beyond masquerading. So the Egungun have a mask that is put on the head, which is a sculptural piece, which is made in a replica of the energy of a man, of a woman that they want to embody. And they create a costume in a special way. Colors is important in that, and they put it in the body. And the body perform it, in a poetry, dance into it, and also music brought into it. So it becomes food coming to it, the nature, the herbs come into it, everything about life come into it. So it becomes like a life thing. So when I analyze it, then it's, and at the bottom part of it, it is called in the West performance. So then I said, okay, I want to do that. I want to do that in my performance. So my artistic process is borrowed heavily from that.
Okay. Whoever wants to participate, please feel free. I don't want to be the only one asking questions here. Could I just kindly ask you to use the microphone? I think it works.
The place of beginning, after arriving and creating the ritual event, let's say, the invitation seems very important. Your ability to engage people from all over the world, really, who come here. This is probably the most diverse audience you're going to find practically in any one place. And I'd like you to speak a little more about that experience, that initial experience of invitation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the essential aspect. Once you create an idea for an event, then you need the dialogue or the community to participate.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's important because we constantly, the most important thing about human being is dialoguing. We are here in this launch now, we're dialoguing. And without dialogue, we're not going to do anything. And the invitation is very, very important. But of course, there's like like look at the issues of immigration. You know, sometimes you don't get invitation, but you are forced to. You know, but in this case, I don't force people. I don't. But we have to look at the natural idea that force things away. Some people may influence the discussion, you know, by forcing it, forcefully to come, you know. And so the idea, I'm just trying to react to the word invitation. Sometimes it's come naturally. Sometimes you just have to be invited to. And so, but I like it to open up the dialogue, the free will to come naturally. And that's when I come into the space, invited, and the audience are there on their own volition, and the dialogue train. Of course, I initiate it, but the initiation doesn't become a burden on the audience. It becomes like a free will. You come, you engage with this, and in the engagements, you begin to think, you know. But of course, when you're thinking, we come with a load of memory, and that become a problem. And this load of memory come like stereotype information, colonized information that we find it difficult to remove ourselves from, and become like a conflict in the mind. Of course, within my mind, when I do the performance, there's always a kind of a conflict also, because I try to create along with reading the audience, and sometimes I get confused. I can mix up, you know, and that dialogue, that is the the thing that is very in me, so intense and weak me so much, you know, because I try to a lot of energy coming seriously coming to hijack me, and I'm trying to maintain my body, and I'm trying to maintain the focus, and I need to know what's the middle part to take so that I don't fall into that. So it is the most crucial part of the performance, the invitation of dialogue. So I want to thank you for that. It's really very, very core part of what I do, and of course of this performance that we did. Just like the lady that actually did the performance were invited, you know. But on invitation, I because my performance is not theater where you write scripts and you give people scripts. She will know that I never write any script except to write one mail to everybody, and just a skeletal idea. Put on your dress this way. You're going to see an object somewhere, but be free when you put on the objects. You'll be free with what you want to do. If you want to opt out, opt out. If you want to do anything you want to do, be free with that. But this is what I have in mind. I tell them, you know. So that dialogue and the creative energy of the world, it's all about the invitation and the deciding force.
Just to follow up, what would you call it if not performance? Because what you're describing is not, performance is usually identified with the artist doing an action. But in this case, you create a context in which action takes place. So if you were to choose another word for what it is that you do, what would that be?
Yeah, well, it's going to be difficult for me because, you know, vocabulary kills a lot of things. You know, and that is what I tell a lot of people, and I said, we have everybody. The world is divided into segments, like the workforce is divided into segments. We have art historians, we have critic, you know. So to me, I just want to create an artwork. I just want to create an action, and I want to leave the vocabulary to audience to decide on what to. And it's going to be a lot of burden for me to put definition into it. And like I said, I don't want to be a colonial master. I don't want to decide the principles of aesthetic or the principles, the definition of how to look at me. It's weird, and that's what we do. And somebody will say, this is a kind of monochromatic way of thing. No, I don't want to do that. I want the audience to, in their own way. For example, I can't speak Italy. So how will I divine it if I want to tell an Italian what to do? No, let the Italian person look at the work and get his own vocabulary that fits into the work. And that, to me, it makes me more comfortable, rather than saying, yeah, this is what I do. You know, I am a human first, and I have blood, and I have water in my body. And these are natural things. These are universal. So looking at my action, it must have prompted you to think of it a certain way. And if you want to call it, that was two write-up about 3 or 4 write-up after the performance. There was one I felt like, no, you're going out of that. But I never make any comment because that is what the person feel. So to me, I don't get annoyed. I don't get offended when you said, no, it is like this. So that's the way you say it. It's just like somebody wrote a poem about lion. You know, it does all depend on the side of the lion you are, that you can make you to decide the form of it. So to me, I want people to see the work like that. You know, so I'm very sorry that I'm have an inadequate way of trying to define it in my own way. But I design, you know, like I give it a title. It is just being myself, just being free. So that doesn't make it more like an illustration of what is the title of the work. No.
So I am completely inspired by your position.
Thank you.
And that it really boils down to your authentic, real, and heartfelt experience, which when you said, the moving part for me is when you said you went into academe and you felt not good enough or you felt diminished. And then you came back to your roots, to your ritual, to what you know to be true deep inside your soul, in your being. And I think that is what our humanity needs right now, is for each of us to tap into our unique hearts and have a dialogue and invite all of that in. And this femininity which you speak about is so important today, because there's so much patriarchal, we know what's happening in politics. So for you to have brought this, thank you so much.
Wow.
That no words can describe how it has inspired that in me to step up and be a voice for what needs to be heard right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I think we need to thank life itself. You know, yeah. I of course I feel really humbled by the appreciation, but sometimes I look at the world and I look at how interesting it is when you have to look at, for example, the Europeans' achievements, you know, in contributing to the movement of humanity. Then I also look at the Yoruba, for example, and I see how deep my people have been in the past, you know, and it's because everybody in his own space were researching, were working hard, you know, and in their own way they are discovering a lot of things that 100% we're not discovering. And so it becomes very important that all of us and each space bringing this discovery, and we are bringing it together, and it's become one for humanity. And in that, and that's what make it more fantastic. There is that element of the values of feminism in every culture of the world. But the question is, when do we lost it? We lost it somewhere. And that is the idea. That is the idea that I'm trying to point into. Where do we lose this? And we need to think at it and remove this so that we can actually understand it more proper, you know, in a way that we know that my mother, for example, sustained me. I drank his breast most of the time, and that make me feel happy. And even now, as old as I am here now. My mom is feeling so like, is it safe? Is it okay? You know, and that is the heart of a woman that I want to have. You know, where I feel everybody like him sitting down here and sitting down here today is not by accident. It's by something that they need to be back. They need to be here by my side and feel me, feel the energy. That's all of us. We're coming together at the same time, and so it is the world itself that position it, and everybody must understand that. Here, my presence, what am I bringing to it? Each person. What are you bringing into this unity of the force of life? You know? And that is the point of the performance. And the main thing that makes me happy is when I look at the 72 women who in this high-tension capitalism decided to say they are coming without any commercial value. They pay their tickets themselves, their flight ticket themselves, They pay the accommodation themselves when they are here throughout that stay. They feed themselves. They never request for per diem. They never request for honorarium. To me, it's that attitude. The attitude of selflessness. Yeah, and the attitude of contributing to the civilization of the world. You know, and that is it. So I want to thank them also. I want to open up that attitude. To me, it's fantastic. So Samuna is representing them. Thank you so much. Oh yes, another person is there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You guys, you know, you are all great. You know, so really, you are all great. You know.
Yes, please go.
You mentioned the word igigu when you were talking about the masculine energy. I was lucky to be at the performance, and when I watched the performance, I was trying to understand the interaction between you, the only man there, and the women. So could you tell us a little more about that? Because you mentioned it, and I didn't get fully. What was the relationship between your energy, the masculine energy, Yugo, and the women and the feminine energy?
Yeah. Of course, when I mentioned Ejigbo, I think that is where I was born. That is the space that nurtured me as a human. The culture there is actually the Yoruba culture. The Yoruba, the deep philosophy about the world, they see the women, the feminine energy as the world. Àwọn ayé, which means that they are the world, you know. And we live in them, you know. And because we came through them out, through in the womb, we came into, and we are still living in them. And so they refer to the earth, which we stand on, as the feminine energy, the water also, you know. And so that is the connection, and that is why I also titled the performance, Mama Say Make Her Dey Go. The word mama means the woman, my mommy, you know, so that represents the feminine energy. So it is just the space itself. This space you also seen, the Yoruba consider it as being the feminine, the human part of it, you know, and they also believe that the masculine is also to help. And that is why in the royalty of the Yoruba, when the king sits, the king will sit, and the wife or the mother will stand. It is not derogatory in the Yoruba. It is the fact that it is the women who have the foresight to see more, which the men cannot see. So standing is looking, and standing is caring, standing is watching. It's standing and looking at, be alert. When you look at the women, they are more alert than and that's why they do a lot of things in the house. You know, of course, the men will say they are confused. No. But because they see, they are always looking at every part they want to be part of, because their life is every part of the world. So it's segmented, of course. The masculine also is also there because it's like interaction, you know, when you look at the biological way of the process of that. But the processes is more of the feminine energy than masculine. So, and that is what the space that I was born nurtured me to understand, you know, because everything you see there, of course, it's colonized now, which is you have to really dig down for you to understand it. Yeah.
Anybody else wants? Simona, do you want to tell us something about the performance and how was it performing?
Yeah. Hello. It's so strange to be here to have done this experience with Jelili, and everything is coming so slowly and fluently. We meet the first time at the vernissage, the Biennale. We keep in touch by mail because I would like to organize a cognitive study about this experience of aesthetic, of a very deep meaning, very important meaning of, for life, for development. And now I am here because he's in Venice, and I am here in Venice too, and we have to meet, and let's talk and go on, and maybe we organize, we don't know, it is all potentials that get flourishing. This is the essential. It's flourishing something, energy. This
But
is what
how
I
did you feel being part of the performance, during the performance?
it was funny because all women met with these beautiful pink dresses, and we turn around during the preparation of the performance, 1 hour to play. Lady from 18 to 70 years old. And I met this lady from Tel Aviv. She was here under invitation of Jelili. And we met this summer in Jerusalem.
Okay.
Just to say hello and a big hug. This is what is like. Energy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Well, I know that when you perform in Lagos, in Nigeria, a lot of your performances have also to do with human rights and justice, which are some of your biggest concerns. So tell us something about it, about this, because I think it's quite an important part in your work, in most of your performances. And I think it's also related probably to a situation in Nigeria where not all human rights are respected and you do not always have justice.
Yeah, the word human rights and also justice, it just depends on the society you are. Everywhere in the world, there is
injustice is everywhere.
It's everywhere, and also the issue of human rights violation is everywhere. But it becomes more intense in Nigeria, in a country where you have a lot of the issue of poverty, and that brings a lot of corruption. So in a corrupt society, you will know that there will be a breakdown of order. Yeah. So, and that's the burden of that come into the people itself, and the people feel it. So, right when I was growing up, I was, battling with this issue of injustice and situations that are unpalatable. For example, I was born during the Civil War in Nigeria, when it was going to an end. My father was a soldier, so he died during the Civil War, but not in the war front. He came to see my mom, and he died, slumped and died. So to me, I was 2 months pregnancy at that time. So I was born without a father. And when I was now growing up, I was in the era of the military dictatorship, where you don't say a lot of things, and you just be whispering to yourself when you're walking on the roads, because you may be arrested. And so and also forced in the school, also battling with the issue of the influence of colonialism in the school, where, for example, you are not allowed to speak your language. They call it no vernacular speaking. If you speak the language, you will forfeit your feeding money at that time, or you get struck by cane. So that was too much for me to bear. And I grew up with that, and also going to Quranic school, when I have to question why must I study a foreign language like that. And so that's opened it up. That's opened it up. And that was, consciously or consciously, I just, find myself questioning the issue of political system in Nigeria. And that is it. That's how I come into, these are things that make me feel pains. I want to talk about it. I want to tell my fellow person that I'm not comfortable about this, and I can bear it. I can bear it. So it's just become like natural part of my body. Yeah.
How much did art change the way art is perceived in Nigeria before and after colonization? Before, during, and after colonization? Because I think there was quite a difference, probably.
It's crazy. It's crazy in a way that sometimes when I choose to read art, I have an uncle who told my grandfather, because I lived with my grandfather, and he said, I wanted to read art because I am an idiot. it's an idiot. He doesn't think properly. That's why he's going to read that. So that I should have gone to read medicine or law, all those big names, And that is the nature of how people see the artists now, even in Nigeria, that these guys have come again, like the mad people in a code. But it's changing also because sometimes when I got the Prince Claus Award, and the people were like, "Oh my God!" So the guy says something. So let's listen now, and I'm part of political process there that changed things. I became a political leader. That we keep looking like I keep saying, "Oh, this is policy is not good." So let's talk about that, and that changed a lot of things. And each time they see me coming out, they know that I have a critical. It's a critical discussion that's a critical moment. For example, my present project now is declaring myself as a presidential candidate of Nigeria. Yeah, so contesting for president of the country, and I created a new party, then with a very fantastic manifesto, which other political party could not create. And so when I move, and I say, "Oh, my president," So that's question a lot of things now, because ordinarily you see that a presidential candidate must have to be a majestic figure, must have a big, And when you look at a little person like me walking on the street with you, and somebody say, "Mr. President," and I say, "Yes." So that is like a revolutionary thing, and a lot of artists also have that we do now, and so they see us now as a revolutionary personality.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that you were running for president.
Yeah.
When I saw the performance, one element I noticed that the video doesn't capture is time. Your performance was very long, very deliberate, and during the previous days, everybody's running around. We all want to go from one thing to the next, and I was really surprised by how deliberate you were, how much time you took, how careful you were. So I wonder, that treatment of time allows us to appreciate the space a lot more because we had to slow down. But is that something from the Yoruba culture? Is something that you do as an artist?
Well, actually, that's an accident. I must admit. That working with an institution like this that work with time, they tell you have this time, we can have this, this has to work in time. It's schedules. Our life is schedules now. That's how humans are. But I work with the nature. Things happen naturally. For example, I was supposed to come with 3 technical assistants from Nigeria. 2 of them were not given visa, so only 1 person came. So, and the 2 persons who did not come become problematic. They were supposed to be in charge of giving the costumes to the women. And so when they were not there, I was the only one with the other person doing that. And the thing could become messed up. And so some of the costume could not fit so become chaotic. So they have to cut the costumes, they have to tear it. It become really, really chaotic. She could describe to that. It was a moment of chaos. And I lost myself completely. I couldn't control it. So I don't know. So the whole thing like that I did was to no, I'm just going to do things as it comes. And we did that. And it worked like that. Yeah, and it worked like that. So it wasn't deliberate. It wasn't whether I want to slow it down or no. No. But of course, when you are coming to Africa, when you have plans, please have about 3 or 7 plans. Because it's not going to work. And so, but that has also conditioned me to have that things may work in a certain way. So you just have to. And so I often leave my performance to be spontaneous. To make it more organical. Things happen, evolve out its own natural way. So that was what happened that day. Yeah.
I want to underline the important meaning of time. It was very long, it's true. But the feeling, it was like a flow state of mind. It is the meditation state of mind, the wall before the meditation with the for 20 minutes, and it's a long time, but it was going slowly, deeply.
Yeah. I also know we spoke this morning a bit about the work, and you told me this very curious thing about the rain.
Wow. Wow.
So, could you share it with
Yeah.
with us?
When I was discussing with Christian Marcel, the curator, she was having this idea that I will be invited to participate in the shaman pavilion.
Pavilion.
And when you read what is actually the core part of shamanism, it's the same as the ologun in the Yoruba. It's the ability, the process of aligning human with nature. That's exactly what it is. And they're trying to have a balance of balancing this. And in the balancing it, they have a lot of techniques. They have very deep knowledge in that, and they try to combine the nature in doing that. So when Marcel said at that time that you should have in mind that it will rain during the presentation, and I said, well, it's not going to rain. And she was like, are you sure? I said, in Yoruba, we talk to the nature. And in talking to the nature, we have specialists who do that. And I said, on that day, I will bring the specialist, like a priest. So, but unfortunately, the priests were among those that were supposed to come with me, but they
didn't get visa.
They didn't get a visa. So now, how do I handle it? So a day to the performance, I went into the lagoon side, and I sat down very quietly, did a kind of a ritual. I removed my shoe, and I dipped my leg, the two legs in the water, and I made conversation with the water, and I said, I am here from Nigeria, and I'm performing here, and my performance is the context of the quality of you that everybody in the world use, that we all drink you, the water. So if it rains on tomorrow, it means that the performance will not go the way it's supposed to be. And that means that I will be sad. The 72 women who are coming all over the world will be sad. And it's not going to be, and nobody is going to understand why we are here. So, and I was there for about 30 to 1 hour in the more calm state, continued feeling the energy while my leg was in the water. After that, I left. But you would also agree with me on that day, the sun came out as early as 7 o'clock. And it was intense throughout the performance. And even one of the performers were like, the sun was too much for them. But of course, in the night also something happened. The water flowed into the streets. Do you know that? So, and that is the signal for me, coming from the Yoruba perspective, that the water also spoke with me to say, the presence of me is there. I am working with you. Don't worry, it's gonna work. Those are the sign for me. So when I saw that, and also it was also the weather forecast that it's gonna rain on that day. Yeah. So it didn't rain because I talked to the nature. Yeah. Thank you.
No, this is wonderful.
Yeah, it is actually really wonderful. I asked one of the girls who volunteered that if she had the time to go into the city and take photographs of that, because it become part of the process of the performance, which we did. So as the time, I'm going to work on trying to make a publication for the book later. So all these processes and all will going to be part of the things that you see in the book, the documentation, the performance.
Well, I think we'll all be looking forward to to reading and seeing the book. Are there any other questions? Yeah, please.
This is an international exhibition, and do you have also the possibility to speak with artists, female, masculine, from all countries? And do you know, how was it for you, or how is it to be now here at the Biennale?
Yeah.
Because it has history and future.
Yeah, yeah. this is one of the things that was hovering in my mind when I was invited. This is the most unique event in the world. Venice Biennale is very, very unique. It has stayed for 120 years, and it's bringing the whole world coming into this space for this period. And to me, it is more focus concerned into tapping into the energy of the world that is the conglomeration of it coming together at in the center. Everybody all over the world are coming here. Of course, all the people in the world cannot come here at the same time. But each nation is coming. There is one person that was come from all over the world that come into this space. So it is a dialogue that is the world dialogue. So I don't need to go to their space to talk. The work is there. It's also talking. And don't forget that I said that the women that came, they're all from the world, all over the world. And they breathe into this object, and the object there is living. And each person that come in contact with that, taking part, is taking it. So it's coming to the knowing body of every person that come. So unconsciously in the future, we'll tap into that. Because when you read the makeup of human, we have the memory body that is speaking from our archival body, constantly speaking from that. Whether you accept it, you don't accept it, it keeps coming back. For example, when I was in South Korea, sometimes in 2013, I felt I have been there before throughout my life. So it is that memory that is coming back. And you know, the Asia will call it incarnation. It's also in the same Yoruba. So it's also there. And that is why we say that human, we are moving together. We are all the same. The energy that is in him is also part of that energy that is in me. So it's just embodied in a space that is different now in this body. And in time, he's going to drop it and continue that journey. So the same thing about coming into this space and moving back and coming back and moving back. We're picking a memory. And so this memory comes with us and part of us. So the dialogue is already there. I have created it. It's also part of the knowing body of the world. Because Venice Biennale is the world itself coming together at a certain time. So that is the essence of this Biennale that make me shaking when I was invited. What am I bringing? What am I contributing to this body of this world? What am I bringing? And I feel so happy that eventually I came with this idea of this feminine energy. You know, it's make me really happy. Sorry, I don't drink coffee. It's too strong for me. I drink tea.
So, Jelili, I wanted to say I don't know if I'm speaking from all of us, but I feel that I am. Thank you for your incredible generosity. And as we sit around this table, you had said there are no mistakes, and I'm feeling that very strongly. So I was wondering if we could go around the table and each say where we're from, the country that we're from, so that you know as a gift from us that we're taking your gifts to our homes to make a difference and take this energy that you've given us in our hearts to make a difference, each and every one of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, because it's a wonderful idea, I think. So I'll start. I was born in Germany. My parents are from Belgrade, and I grew up in Italy, in Trieste, and then studied here in Venice. So that's mainly.
I'm from Germany, from Stuttgart.
You should say your first name.
Ricarda.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Tillman, and I'm her husband. I live in Stuttgart as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I am Valentina, I'm from Italy, and thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Simone from Italy, thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
I'm Stephanie from France, but traveling the world doing different things.
Wow, super.
I'm Marianne from Switzerland, and I thank you very much, especially for that positive energy of the water, that symbol which will combine us all,
thank you.
And
thank you so much.
eventually also the world.
Thank you, thank you. It's great to have you.
I'm Jörg from Switzerland, from Zurich. Thank you very much.
Wow. I was there once. It's great.
I'm Sylvia. I was born in Austria and now living in Switzerland. And I'm very impressed and berührt, I don't know, in it, touched. And I think art can be an act of humanity which is necessary, and it was a Zufall? Zufall? No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Maurice from Zurich, Switzerland. Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm Hans, also from Zurich.
Great. That is
We,
something.
we have a delegation from Zurich.
I must say something very important about the Switzerland. You know, the African Alps, the mountain. You know, there is the story that the European and the African, they move and touch together. So, and that's what the connection is coming from there. Is an important country. Yeah.
My name is Emmy. I'm coming from Switzerland too, from Zurich.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go together.
This is the corner from
Oh, this is
Zurich.
Zurich.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm also very touched, and I'm feeling very happy to be here right now. Thank you
so much. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Ben, also from Switzerland. And I hope you will be able to become the next president.
Yeah, thank you, Doc.
And I'm Jelili from Lagos, Nigeria, West Africa.
My name is Michael from Texas in the U.S. And so we had front row seats to 2016 and with the campaign. And so your performance art, I think, is very relevant and very important in that regard.
Yeah,
So.
Thank you so much.
I'm Katie. I'm also from Texas and the U.S. Thank you very much for your positive energy.
Thank you.
My name is Shelby. I am from the U.S. as well, specifically from Washington, D.C. So I live with the content and weight of all of those things on a daily basis and that conversation. So thank you for adding to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Michael from the United States, and I'm with her.
Simona, Italy, planet Earth, like you.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from London. I was also in the performance, and it's really great to see you again and you be back here.
I'm Petra from Vienna and Graz. Thank you.
It was great.
Well, it's going to take a while. I grew up in South America, Uruguay. I lived most of my adult life in the United States. And before the election last year, I moved to Mexico.
Oh.
And your name?
Jorge, Robbie.
Yeah, it's great.
My name Angelo. Thank you. Your visit in Puglia, Space Art, my gallery.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow, thank you so much for that invitation.
Puglia, Italy.
Oh, great. That's great. Yeah, good. Yeah. That's good.
Quando puoi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anita Netti, I'm from Italy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Arthur from the United States, and I just had an eye-opening experience and a heart-opening experience being with you, and just seeing all your faces react. I mean, it's just really a remarkable and a wonderful experience to be part of the world and to be part of the art. Viva Arte, viva!
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
I'm Janet, and from South Africa originally, and left the country that I absolutely love because it was not a place that I could call home because of apartheid. And went to America, and now my heart feels broken. And as an artist, this has been so incredibly inspiring to make a difference. So somehow,
thank you so much, Janet.
I hope
Thank
to
you.
do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I think this is the best way to close this wonderful conversation we had today. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the exhibition and the rest of the day. I also want to thank Christine myself for inventing this project, which gives all of us this wonderful occasion of exchanging ideas and talking not only about art but also about life. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you, Jelili, for being with us today, and have a nice, wonderful day.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much.
And also thank you, Janet, for your wonderful words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, I feel so really honored.
And of course, we hope you become you become the next president.